to the Boundaries and Brotherhood Sovereign Man slash 11th Man workshop. Pillar number five is going to be about relationship with you. Last week we did how important your partner is as a lead up to this day and moment, right?
Mhm.
Doc, how you been, Doc? I mean, a lot of the times I had a busy week. You had a busy week, but let's
Yeah,
go over this workshop and see what we be going on. What are we going to be going over, and what we're going to be providing at the end of this workshop? Because this way, we might be able to do something later on.
yeah. I mean, that's the plan, right? We're here to
Yes,
serve.
sir.
But yeah, no, I'm doing good, man. I missed you last week, but I know you had to do what you had to do. That
Yes,
actually
sir.
gave me time to catch up too. So, outside of that, man, things have been going well. But as far as like today's concerned, everybody, so we're gonna be talking about, forging the sovereign relationship engine, right? The sovereign relational engine, which is essentially you being able to connect with other people, right? Not just, your significant other, your wife, but we're also talking about you being able to connect with pretty much everybody and anybody, right? Because the fact of the matter is that you cannot do this thing called life alone. You cannot.
Correct.
There's
Yep.
no such thing as a self-made man. It doesn't exist, right? So we're going to be talking about how you can go about making those connections, how you can go about trusting people without the fear of being hurt. We're going to be going about how you can have those conversations. We're going to be talking about some of the pitfalls that we have been kind of tricked into, whether societally or culturally or whatever the case may be, that keeps us stuck, that keeps us hurting, that keeps us alone, that keeps us divided, that keeps us from having actual brotherhood. So we're gonna be going through all that today, and then like Gordon was saying, we're gonna be putting everything together for you guys, and we're gonna be creating something special for you guys, right? So just make
Absolutely.
sure you stay tuned to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because there's so much things going on, guys. But that's until we get everything going on, we were providing so much different things for you so that you're not feeling unseen, you're not feeling undervalued. And some of the times is you don't want to go home to your own home and you don't even feel like you're yourself there, right? That's why you see some men hide in the cars. They want to just relax from their wife. They don't have good communication. And relationships, like on this is what this workshop is going to be about. And we're going to put up these slides, Doc. I'm going to get us
Mhm.
all technically set up, and then we're going to be doing this. And you tell me what you want to do. Let me close this because I have so many windows open. This one
I can do
works really great. So we can do this and we can hide this. And you tell me what you want to do, how you want to do it. And you just start telling me what you want to do.
Yeah, as far as like going to the slides, yeah, I'll keep you posted,
Yes.
man, because I prefer to look this way instead of having to look this way.
Okay. Beautiful.
So yeah, we can go to the next one. Let's just go ahead and hop into it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oops.
Uh,
Let me
All
go.
right.
Oh, there we go.
So first and foremost, all right, we got to escape what's called the performance prison, right? And what is the performance prison? The performance prison is essentially I have to work in order to earn value. I have to do something to have worth. I have to do something to have value in order to have relationships, right? Like that's what that performance prison is. So you're seeking outside validation. You're trying to live up to everyone else's expectations. You sacrifice yourself time after time. You've been taught that you have to sacrifice yourself to be a real man, and a real man shouldn't have needs. As a matter of fact, something that's so sad that I see in men all the time is they don't even know what makes them happy anymore.
Ooh.
They say, oh, well, if my wife is happy, I'm happy. Well, you weren't always married. So what was making you happy beforehand? Were you just unhappy your whole life? Well, absolutely not. Right? No, you played sports, you played video games, you hung out with friends, you worked out, you hiked, you ran, you did all these things, right? You traveled, you enjoyed life, but you've been taught that in order for me to earn love, in order for me to earn value, in order for me to earn connection, I have to sacrifice, and I can't exist. I have to sacrifice in order to get that, and it just continuously fails, and it's so sad because then Gordon, like the guys that I work with, they come into my office and they say, I feel like I'm giving everything. I'm paying all the bills. I'm taking care of all these things. And a lot of them nowadays, Gordon, it's not just that.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, I'm clean. I'm doing the dishes, right? And I'm doing the laundry, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that. So they're doing all their stuff, plus trying to take stuff off their wife's plate, right? And it's a lot. And it's not saying obviously those wives don't do anything, but what I'm saying is we're in a day and age now where men are like, no, I'm not even trying to do more. So they're saying, oh, if I just do more, then I'll finally be loved and accepted. So, but that's the fallacy, right? Because it fails.
Big.
It's not working. Abandoning yourself it doesn't work. And so then you get burnt out. Then you get tired. Then you feel like no, nothing I do is good enough, right? And it's just like this slide here says. It says, it's like society's placed a governor on it. It says performance, prison, right? You have this V12 engine, like it says here, twin turbo. It's something serious, right? Um,
Mhm.
and you get out and then you drive it. It says 55 miles an hour. I would even do you better. It's like driving it in a school zone. I don't know if anyone's ever been. I know y'all been through a school zone before, but you know how slow you have to go through a school zone. So imagine being in a monster of a car, V12, twin turbo engine, and the fastest you could go is 20 miles an hour. Better yet, I'll even add to this, Gordon, and then I'll hand it off to you, just kind of get your perspective on it.
Mhm.
But it's not even that you have a governor on it, right? What it really is you have a trailer, right? You're driving this car that has 1,000+ horsepower, and you have a 10-ton trailer that you're pulling. So no matter how much you rev that engine, you're not going anywhere.
I ain't going
You're
anywhere.
not going
No.
anywhere. And until you unhook the car, you're not going anywhere. And that's what's going on. We feel like we can do more. That trailer is a representation of if I do more and more and more and more. And now you're trying to pull 10 freight cars like a train pulls, and you're not designed to do that. And you wonder why you're not getting anywhere. You wonder why you're burnt out. You wonder why you're
Yeah.
tired. You wonder why you don't want, like Gordon was saying, you don't even want to go in the house. You drive home, you sit in the car for 30 minutes just because you don't want to go in, because it's like, dang, I got to do more. It's this performance prison that's killing you, man. And so we're going to be talking about how to break out of that. But Gordon, I'm
Beautiful,
going to hand it
beautiful.
off to you. Yeah.
No, I mean you're absolutely right, because you could be running on empty because you're day at work or dealing with the kids, dealing with people that's at work or anything emotionally draining you. Then you have to come home, but you don't have that solid relationship with the people that you love. Of course, somebody's going to get burned out, because
Mhm.
at the same time, sometimes you're just not going to have enough, and that's what this workshop is going to be about, because you want to feel value. You don't want to you don't want to overlook yourself, your feelings, your emotions, and the stuff that you're going through, because at the same time, your denial, if you think you're going to do more, sometimes more is going to take you over to the edge. Sometimes
Yes.
doing less is going to be better, because now you can share the duties, the relationships, the communication, and everything, and the word going up and down. That expectation is a mother right there, because
Yes, it is.
once you start looking at expectations from both you and your partner, or you don't have a relationship with yourself as an expectation, you'll be sacrificing all in vain.
Yeah.
And that's where we want to stop. That's what this workshop is all about. That's what becoming sovereign is about. That's what people, you know, need to have, that brotherhood like
Yeah.
us with boundaries and what we provide. Guys, if you're watching us on TikTok, Instagram, and you're vertical, you can also watch the slides basically that's going on YouTube, Facebook, and our other pages, because I don't know if it's going to come out. It's going to come out that way, but you might have to just catch it at the end. If you want to see the slides, we can describe it to you, but please leave us a comment and say what you got going on, because you sacrificing yourself for the greater good sometimes does not work, right?
Yeah. 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 This isn't some, 300 type situation that we go through on a daily basis, right? This isn't us being Jesus Christ and dying on a cross for a reason. This is self-abandonment, you know, because someone told us to, and we never question who told us to, who said I can't exist, in my relationships because
Mm-hmm.
I have to continuously put out, put out, put out. and like I tell my couples and the people I work with, if you can't exist in your relationship, you cannot have a relationship. If you can't be your authentic self in a relationship, you will
Big.
not have a relationship. There's going to be built up resentment because it's like, why does she get to be the only one that exists? Why can she be the only one that shares her thoughts, her feelings, her expectations, and I just got to sit back on the back burner and eat it, right? I can't share my disappointment or my hurt or my whatever the case may be. And then not even just there, but anywhere we go, right? We got to be able to be our authentic self. And unfortunately, you know, a lot of times we just put ourselves on the back burner thinking that that's what we're supposed to do. But I'm telling you, it's not. And then one last thing before you switch slides, Gordon, is I want y'all to think about, when we talk about the sovereign man, when you think about sovereign, that means kingly. That means someone who rules their domain, right? And I want you to understand that a king does not do everything in his domain. He cannot do everything in his domain. So as we become sovereign man, we have to understand, you know, what delegation is. And we'll have to get into that in another presentation, another workshop, Gordon. But it's just something to think about. Like, you don't have to do it all. You know, you focus on the things that are most important. That's what you focus on. You know, and I could go more into that, but let's go on to the next
Absolutely.
slide.
I mean, you're absolutely correct on that one because look at this slide.
All right. So these are the three, what is it called? The three masks of relational armor, right? And so these are the masks that we as men wear in order to operate in relationships. And I'm sure you've all either been that or seen that, right? So you have the performer, right? You know, this is the person. I'm just going to read it off the slide here.
Yeah.
You know, I'm loved for what I produce, right? Whether it's money, results, whatever, right? You know, and so what they do is they push themselves to the absolute limit to make sure everyone is provided for, taken care of. They have everything they need. Again, whether it's money or material things or vacations or whatever the case may be, right? A lot of times the performer is heavily tied into material things, right?
I was going to say
Yeah. And so
ego boosting. You're
yeah,
boosting your ego for nothing, trying to get all
yeah,
those other stuff. It
you
doesn't
know.
make. In
And
fact, I got a story for you on that one.
And that's another thing as well, right? When you have the performer, they take great pride in that. It's like, you know how much money I make, you know how much I sacrifice and how much because that's where their value is. The performer's value
Correct.
is in what they produce. And then unfortunately, though, because they think that I have to work for love, I should be able to get love because of what I
Right.
produce. It doesn't happen. Now you have this dissonance that it's created within them. And in order to try to make peace with that, they have to then start trying to create and accept certain beliefs. That's where a lot of these red pill movement guys operate out of. Like, you know, don't worry about monogamy, just get yours, because they know when I pour in, and it doesn't work, and I might lose my wife and I lose my family, right? That means I'm a failure, no matter what I produced. And so now what do you do with that? So to make sense of that, to make peace with being the performer, you have to have a different story. So she's the problem, women are the problem, this and this, you know, and so then that's where they start moving on. So that's the performer, right? Now you have the nice guy, the people pleaser, right? If I just appease everybody, if I just sacrifice myself, if I never ask for anything, then I'll finally be worthy of love. If I'm not a burden to anybody, I'll finally be worthy of love. And we know that doesn't work as well, because what happens in the underlying part, like I said in the previous slide, you abandon yourself thinking that if I abandon myself, then maybe someone will finally, you know, see me. They will finally love me. They'll finally, you know, give me the things that I want and desire. But here's the crazy part about it. Being the nice guy, you never share what you desire. You never share what your needs are. You never let anybody know. But then now you become resentful because people are showing up how they want to show up. You know, they're loving you in their love language. It's just not your love language. And now you're getting resentful. Now you're getting passive aggressive.
Right.
Now it's, you know, or you play the victim role or whatever the case may be, but you wear that armor and it drives people away. Or it makes a good woman, for example, it makes a good woman feel like there's nothing I can do. I can't do anything good enough. Right. So you think that you're being a nice guy and a people pleaser and things of that nature, but that's not a good thing to be, right? Because you're not being your authentic self, right?
It's
And
a fraud.
then you have the last. Oh, sorry. Say it again, Gordon.
You're a fraud. You're fake. I
Yeah.
mean, you're doing
Yeah.
it for the wrong reasons. Sorry to
Exactly.
interrupt, but yeah, I
No, no,
mean,
you're no, you're 100% correct. You know, and then we have the stoic, right? We have the guy who's emotionally shut down, and and nothing bothers me, and I'm just always in control and everything like that. But we know also that this is not real, right? We know no, this is not something that is sustainable long term. There's a reason why your relationships are still failing because you're putting on this stone cold face like nothing bothers me, nothing bothers me. But we all know things bother you because you're human. We all know you have emotion because you're human. So the fact of the matter is, when you wear this stoic mask, actually what you're saying is, I'm afraid of opening up and sharing my thoughts and feelings because I don't think they're going to be received. I think I'm going to end up hurt, because this has happened before, right? And so now we wear this mask, and then of course, then we try to, do philosophy and all this, and you got it. I'm not saying there's not a place for stoicism. I'm also not saying there's a place for pleasing our
go.
significant other. I'm also not saying there's a place for working hard and being ambitious. But that can't be the only dimension you exist in. So if you
Yep.
believe in it's going to be stoic all the time, then guess what? You're going to lose out on relationships because people cannot connect with you if there's no emotional aspect or part to you. So that's
Yep.
why your kids don't vibe with you. That's why your wife doesn't rock with you. That's what maybe your friend circle, right? Maybe them, but that's not going to be deep. Maybe at work, maybe you do well, but no one's going to be able to connect with you, right? You might lose out on deals just because you're not even human.
Right.
And it's crazy
Right.
because I've worked with people, and I was actually talking with someone the other day, and it was a client, and we were talking about some business things, and one of the things that we were talking about was the idea that you got to connect with people on a human level, that how much of a difference that makes. Then
Oh,
I'll be
that's
honest,
huge.
like even my financial advisor, the reason how we connected and how he became my financial advisor, he didn't come to me with all these answers and all this stuff, and let me tell you what I do for you. No,
You're
we
right.
met at a car, my mechanic's shop. Him and my mechanic were friends. I mean, him just got to talk about cars, family, life, just connecting on a human level. Now, if he was just this stoic person, I would have never connected with them at all. So this whole mask of being stoic, and that's the thing about these masks, right? These masks hide who you really are. And if people don't get a sense of who you really are, how can people connect with you? How can you have a relationship?
Yeah. Because
So,
relationships all about a human being human, being having any emotions and everything else. And
yeah.
from these slides right here, I've been each and every one of them. I can tell
Mhm.
from I can come from experience. And like Doc said, there's a place for each one of them. But at the same
Yeah.
time, you have to be true to yourself. If you're
Yeah.
feeling like you're second guessing your purpose, if you're kind of like feeling alone and giving yourself away to everyone, and you don't know where you're fitting, what I mean? Whether you're the nice guy to somebody else, you're the performer for this situation, or you're the stoic because you want to be a hardhead. There's a place and time for all of that, but at the same time, you got to be true to yourself and what you believe in, and that maybe that comes from experience. That might be coming from working with us. That might be coming from tired of trying to fit in a square peg in a circle, right?
Yeah.
It could be doing that because at the end of the day, you got to have what's in it for you and be true to yourself. And that's what a sovereign man does, right?
Yes.
If you're
Yeah.
feeling like you're tired, if you're being drained, if you're being able to, this is what the people want to work. Ultimately, we don't want you to unalive yourself, basically, right? Because
Yeah.
like when I told Doc last week, that's what happened to one of my friend's nephews. You know what I mean? It was like all over what? A girl. I mean, it's just ridiculous, right? But this is where you don't have to perform. You got to grow you some emotions and be able to set the boundaries that you have for yourself and your family, and whatever else you have going on. Because when it all comes down to it, if you start second guessing yourself, how can you lead anybody else, let alone your family, your company, your friendships? Men like to follow men that can lead and show them the way in a way that's congruent to everybody. If you
Mhm.
cannot do it alone, you think, if you can't lead yourself, what makes you think um, your relationship's gonna flourish, right? Because
Yeah.
it won't. You gotta have, like Doc said, you gotta have your ambition, you gotta have your purpose, you gotta
Mhm.
be able to be a performer at sometimes, you gotta be emotional at sometimes, you gotta be this certain thing at certain times, but not just be one.
Yeah.
because because does that come from experience, time, um, losing things? We want to help you get to that point where you can be confident about yourself. If you looked at all our pillars, last month's was confidence. This builds off of all of that,
Yeah.
right? Because this is something that everybody needs, and somebody and men have to understand, especially in this world going on.
Yeah.
People are losing their minds.
And Gordon, before we move on to the next slide, man, I just want to say this as well, especially because you brought up a very good point. Like how do you learn, right? How do you learn? And the fact of the matter is, if you didn't have a father in your life, or you didn't
Yeah.
have a good father in your life, then chances are you didn't learn. You tried to, right? You watch what was on TV, you watch what was on
Mm,
the videos, you saw the guys around
guilty.
you, and you try to piecemeal what it means to be a man through all of these things, and what we get is this Frankenstein monster of what it looks like, right? And so we have to unlearn all of those things. We have to understand what it means to be a man, how we can show up, how we can be our authentic self, how we can actually have emotions and still have our full masculinity at the same time.
Correct.
Like
Yeah.
there's a way to do that. And so if not for yourself, if not for yourself, at least do it for your sons. At least do it for your daughter, so your daughter knows what a real man looks like. At least do it for the young men that you may be
Hmm.
mentoring right now. At
Hmm.
least do it for them. If not for yourself, at least do it for them. Learn how to be a man for them. So now we can actually start changing and breaking these generational curses that we have on
Oof.
our families and on these cycles. And we can start breaking that, because the fact of the matter is, and Gordon, like you mentioned, and then we'll move on. But you know, men want to follow men who know the way, right?
Yes.
So, and there's many of you that right now that are influential. You're influential in your field. Maybe you're a phenomenal speaker, or you're a great preacher, or maybe you're a great teacher, or you're a great coach, or you're a great whatever. And there are people that are following you. And for you right now, you sit there at night and you are questioning. You're questioning yourself. You're saying to yourself, if they only knew who I really was, if anyone
Yeah.
ever found out who I really was, then but we can work on all that, so that people can know who you really are. I'm a man. I make mistakes, but I try my best, and this is what I do, and this is how I show up, and this is how I own my mistakes, and this is how because then what you're doing is, because we don't need supermen, we need real men who's like, hey, yeah, I go through it
That's
too.
different.
I
Yep.
go through it too. I'm
Yep.
human just like you're human, but I can show you the way. And then you start bridging that gap. But you can't do that if you're wearing these masks. You cannot do that, right? Because then all we're doing is teaching other men how to hide,
How to
teaching
hide.
other
Yep.
men how to suffer in silence, and teach other men how to push beyond their limits just to push themselves over the edge, right? And we don't want to lead anyone down the wrong path. And that's what the work we're trying to do here. But
Yes. I mean, that Doc said it all right there. Because you have to do it for somebody else. It's not you. And this
yeah,
is why Boundaries and Brotherhood, one of the reasons why it's made. So if my sons can be men, and I can show them, even if I'm not around years down the line, where I'm leaving a legacy of information for them to adhere to my
yes.
grandkids that I'll never see. To, you know what I mean? So something that they can refer back to when I'm gone.
Mhm.
Because I didn't have that. And I ended up being a Frankenstein, like Doc said, of what I think a man's supposed to have been.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
when you hit that,
Yeah.
that hit me hard, because that's pretty hard when your grandmother teach you how to shave. Right? Right? So it's like it's one
Yeah.
of those things. It
Yeah.
happens, right?
No, yeah, you're
There
right.
we
You're
go.
right. All right. And so when we talk about the 10 men versus the 11th men, right? And we're gonna be working on the verbiage and making sure we're shifting everything over to sovereign. So just stay, follow with us, right? So the 11th man is the sovereign man, right? The 10
Mhm.
men, that's kind of everybody else, right? The world, how the world sees men, right? And so when you look at these different things here, right? So generally speaking, this is how a lot of men operate right here. They operate by like seeking external validation to prove their worth. They need someone to say that you're doing a great job. They need an attaboy, right? And we're not talking
Mm,
about appreciation and gratitude. We're not talking about that. We're talking about I'm working so I can get that recognition. I need someone to tell me that I'm good enough, right? Regular gratitude appreciation is, I do this because it's the right thing to do. And it's nice to get appreciation, gratitude, but I'm good within myself because I'm operating in my
that's it.
values, right? Which ties right over here to the sovereign man, where it says operate from internal self-fidelity. He doesn't earn his worth, he accepts it. I just know I'm a good guy,
Mhm.
right? I'm not waiting for anyone else to tell me so. Right. But unfortunately, a lot of times men operate in seeking that external validation, something that they should have got when they were younger, right? Because external validation isn't a bad thing in the right context. And the only context that really needs to exist in it is in our children when they're younger, because that
Yeah.
external validation says what you're doing is right. Keep doing that. That's a good thing. When you treat your sibling right, that's a good thing. When you treat your mother right, that's a good thing. When you do good in school, when you put in the effort, that's a good thing. And then
Mhm.
once we teach them and give them that foundation, now we teach them how to own that for themselves and not worry about what anybody else says, because now they have a template on what is good. That's where external validation is supposed to be, right? As grown men, we don't need another man to tell us, whether or not we're doing good or not as a man, right? By
Right.
their standards, right? We don't need that, right? So move on to the next one, right? It's on boundaries, right?
Yep.
All right. A lot of times, we build walls of isolation. Let's read it from here, or abandon our needs altogether, right? That's not a boundary, right? That's fear. That's isolation. Let's just call it what it is. That's fear and isolation. If you say, well, I don't still want my stuff to be used against me, that's fear. That's what that is. I'm scared that someone's going to use the stuff I say against me, and that's going to hurt more than I can handle, right? That operates out of fear, self-protection. And it just is what it is. You may not like it. It may sound bad, understand where it's coming from, but that's what that is. Those aren't boundaries. That's fear. That keeps you locked up. That keeps you from being able to open up. That keeps you from being able to connect with people, right? The more of you hide, and I'm not saying you should just be telling your business to everybody, but what I am saying is you need to be able to start making peace with those things that make you vulnerable and learning how to operate with it, and really knowing within yourself, like, okay, this is who I am. If I share this and someone uses it against me, the sovereign man, they're the ones that have the boundaries, right? They're the ones that are teaching people how to treat them. So if you're in an intimate relationship, right, with your wife or a girlfriend or fiance or whatever, and that comes up, a sovereign man knows how to communicate and say, whoa, hold on, I told you that, and you know that how meaningful that thing was to me. And the fact that you just said that, I'm not gonna lie, that really hurt. And so I'll be honest, we can't continue this conversation until I get an apology. And if you don't want to apologize, then I don't know if we're going to move forward, right? That's
Mm.
what a boundary is.
Yeah.
Now it's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
clear, right? Now, if she really wants you, guess what she's going to do? She's going to say, you know what? I apologize. I'm sorry. She's going to come back around, right? That's a boundary, but that allows me to still be myself, my authentic self, and still be able to regulate those things that I say in private. And if they are said, I know how to regulate that and communicate that so that I can get the result I'm looking for on the other side. Whether that's, her being able to understand and get closer and not do that anymore, or maybe it's replacing her, just saying, right? So
No, you're absolutely
now,
correct because I mean, a lot of the times, you don't think you're doing all of that stuff, right? At
yep,
all until
yep,
you figure out that that's what you're going through. And one of the things that we miss here is acceptance. I mean, it could be under connection, but the 10 men looking for acceptance from all over the place and is going to do whatever they want to do just to feel accepted into the group, the friendship, the cool kids, whatever else. The 11th man, the sovereign man, knows his place in the world and is going to walk with a steadfast, steady, with his head out high, no matter what it is. He don't
yeah,
need to find acceptance no matter what, because he is where he needs to be at that certain time for himself and his family. And like I said, that is it experience? Is it something that he has to navigate through his world? You mean, but at the same time, those are the people a lot of people gravitate to, and those are the ones that command respect.
yeah,
They don't just live it, they command it. There's a big
yeah,
difference, right?
yeah,
When you command respect, having those attributes between validation, creating your boundaries, conflict resolution, having the connection, and your own acceptance of who you are and what your morals are and who you hang up because those are the values that you connect with.
Yeah.
That's a strong formula for a combination of a man that has it in control. And guess what? If you're dating on the dating scene, if you're looking for a company or you're looking for employees that want to, or you're a director or a manager, who do you think is going to gravitate to find answers from? That individual, because he has his crap together, not just internally and externally. It has it all encompassing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's a
And
big, big difference. Guys, if you're watching this on guy, I'm gonna say this on Instagram, Doc. Slides are coming out clean. We're both at the bottom.
perfect.
YouTube, it's a banging. And I just want to see a proud sponsor, guys. We had an amazing event. If you want to look up a caffeine lollipop, first ever of its kind, we had an amazing event. I'm part of this company. Go out and try some. I gave
Yeah.
out about like I gave out 7,000 lollipops, Doc.
Jeez.
That's how much I was moving.
And and I'll share this with you guys as well because I've tried them before, and I'll be honest, I don't recommend things that I wouldn't use or have not used or don't like.
Absolutely.
I don't, right? If I don't like it, if I wouldn't use it, I
Yeah.
wouldn't recommend it. These are good.
They're
These
really
are
good.
really, really good. The flavors, and then Gordon, you were talking about. I don't know if we can talk about.
Oh, yeah,
You
you
know,
can.
you know what? I don't know. I don't know if there's an NDA. But long story short, there's even more flavors and better flavors coming out in the future. So if you get your hands on them, definitely get you some. They keep you alert. They keep you awake. They taste good. Telling you, you will not be disappointed.
Oh,
You will not
it's
be
changing the
disappointed.
game. It's changing the game. We're changing the game.
Yeah.
And guys,
So
you guys are
yeah.
gonna benefit from it too.
Yeah. And
All
I'm about to
right.
say, and I'm about to say as well, the best one that I've tasted so far was the espresso one.
No,
But
espresso is my favorite.
yeah. So
Yeah.
all right. So the 3 dimensions of sovereign connection, right? And so you have to think first and foremost, you got to think about yourself. And if you can see these slides, I love how this is put together because that's in the middle. You cannot abandon yourself and then hope to have genuine connections later on. You just can't. You cannot, right? Because how are you connecting with people? Who are they connecting to? Are they
Right.
connected to the performer? Are they connected to the stoic? Are they connecting to the people pleaser? Like, who are
Mhm.
they connecting to? It's not even a real person they're connecting to, right? So you have to be true to yourself. You have to be able to stand on your morals and values. You have to be able to have self-care. You have to be able to pour into yourself. You have to be able to regulate yourself. Like, you got to focus on building yourself first. You got,
Mhm.
right? Because you cannot get out here. You cannot get to partnership. You cannot get to brotherhood until you first build yourself. And you need to make sure you're building on solid ground,
Yes.
good truth,
Yes.
right? Not the
Yes.
lies that the world has said, not the stuff that your culture said a man should be and things of that nature. Not that. You have what is true? What is a man? How is a man supposed to operate? He's supposed to be ambitious. He's supposed to make sure he's a provider. He's a leader, right? He's a protector. And what does that look like? And walk that out and learn and read and grow so you can be the absolute best man possible so that
Possible. Yeah.
your wife does look up to you, right? So that your
Mhm.
kids do look up to you, right? You should be pouring into yourself in that way, right? So you got to focus on yourself first. That's the first thing. Connect with yourself. And then once you connect with yourself, right, then you can start going out and connecting with other people, right? Now you can start being authentic. Now you know who to connect with, right? This is critical. This is really, really important because if you don't know yourself, and that's why I tell young men, you stop getting into relationships. Stop. If you don't know yourself, if you don't know your purpose, if you don't know what you're striving for, if you're still trying to figure yourself out, stop getting into relationships. Why? Because you're not going to know who to connect with. The real
Yeah.
version of you may not connect well with whoever you pick. They may not be a bad person. They just might not be who you really needed. And one of the most important things, and we said it here before, is who do you connect with? And not just with your intimate partner, not just with your wife, but also with your friend groups. There's a lot of people that you make friends with the mask on. And when you finally realize who you really are, there's a mass exodus out of your life. because it's like, dang, I don't need that. That's not healthy for me. That's not good. I'm in a group with guys that cheat. I'm in a group with guys that sell drugs or do drugs. I'm in a group with guys that it's not good. But if you knew yourself from the beginning, then you'll be able to pick the right partner. If you knew yourself from the beginning, you'll be able to pick the right friend group. You'll be able to make long-lasting life connections. You'll be able to do that, and then we don't have to worry about there being a mass exodus, right? So you really gotta make sure you focus on yourself. You gotta pour into yourself, and that's not selfish to do so.
Nope.
Becoming the man, the sovereign man you're supposed to be, is going to bless and benefit everybody else in your life. Right. So very, very critical. Yes, there's different connections, levels of connection. There's different levels and dimensions of connection, right? There are. But the most important one is connecting with yourself. Because once you do that, everything else is going to become easy. Once you know what you want, who you are, what you're striving for, where you're trying to go, everything else becomes easy. You'll know what spouse to pick. You'll know what friends to be around. You know what people to hang out with. You'll know how to do that. So that's why I'm just focusing so heavily on that self portion, because once you get that right, everything else falls in place.
You're 100% true. Because, like I said, if you're in a brotherhood that's doing crap, like I said, I can speak from experience. What Doc mentioned, I've been those three performers, Stoic, all those all jumped into one, all because of what? I was looking for acceptance. I was looking for a brotherhood, but because I was looking for a family that I didn't have. And that's what drew me to crime, being with gang affiliation, doing all this other bullshit, all because of what? I didn't know myself, or it wasn't guided into those things. Because if you're watching this and you're feeling alone, or you're feeling misguided, or you don't have the purpose, or you're looking, like you might be in a situation right now where that partner that you have is not right because of the lie you told yourself and your partner. It's time to move on and get out. I'm not saying, because you were not just ruining that other person, you were ruining yourself, and all that time you could be past bettering yourself. It's no joke when Doc says, pour into yourself, because the more you pour into yourself and get better and get whole, the more abundance you can give to somebody else for the right reasons. And that's what we're about. Boundaries and brotherhood is not to nudge you, is to nudge you in the right way that nobody else might see. Doc, with his professional background and with myself, with the experience I have, doing all the wrong mistakes, being around different people, there is no combination like this on the web any place else. If you ask any of the LLMs, ChatGPT, and you look up Boundaries and Brotherhood, and you're going to pop up me and Doc's name, you're going to see our credentials listed, why we made it together. And we just want to make you the best version of themselves, calling it becoming sovereign, because it takes more than just me telling you. It takes me showing you. It takes me guiding you. It takes us supporting you. It takes giving the right execution and application when it really matters.
Yeah.
I sounded like Doc. Oh. I'd be like Terry Crews.
And I know exactly that reference for that too. Phenomenal movie. Absolutely love it. But you got to have the whistle. You got to have the whistle as well, right?
I was feeding myself. That's what happens. Guys, this is what we're all about, guys. If you're watching this and you're feeling out yourself and you're looking for direction, if you're watching this on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all that, and want to be in the community, it's being built. It is built. I just got to give access. It's a free almost community, just like social media. We have our own. Reach out. In fact, you can comment on the things now through in some of our posts if you see it. If you comment the word confidence, it should give you the PDF automatically in your message. So try there, see if not. If it's not working, I'll send it to you automatically. But let's go to the next slide.
Yeah. So again, about the boundaries, right? I think it's important I really want to drive this point home. Right? So when it comes to isolation, Essentially what that is, it is fear. Isolation is not a boundary. Saying I don't want to be around anybody or nobody is safe, that's not a boundary. That's a prison. That is a prison because you want to get out. You want someone to understand you. You want someone to connect with you. You do. You don't. No one wants to feel alone in this world. So isolation is not protection. Isolation is a prison, and being in that prison for years and years and years and years can wear on a person. So we don't want to engage in isolation as a form of protection. What we want to learn how to do is protect ourselves. And that's where boundaries come into play, right? Once we know how to regulate our emotions, once we know how to communicate, and once we know how we want to be treated, and we can teach people that, then we have those sovereign boundaries. Now, again, the boundaries are gates, not walls, right? And a boundary is designed to let in those who are supposed to be in and keep out those who aren't supposed to be there, right? And so how you want to be treated, what your values are, your beliefs are, your standards are, once you know that and you can teach other people that, then you don't have to worry about being hurt, especially if you understand how the emotional regulation part, because that's a key part, right? You don't have to worry about that. Why? Because I know how to operate. I know how to move. I know how to set up my boundaries. I know how to set things up so that, I won't get hurt. It's going to reduce the chances of me being hurt, right? Because that's another thing as well, right? Before you cross into someone's boundaries, there is a vetting process, right? So if you're just letting everybody and anybody in, then that's a problem. I want you to use countries, for example, right? Before someone comes through the boundary, right? Before someone comes into another country, there's a vetting process. They got to look at your passport and you got to run all these things and things of that nature, right? Right. So if we have enough sense in the world to do that, because we want to make sure the right people are coming into your country, right? What you don't want to do is let a terrorist that hates your country into your country and just be like, just come in because we love everybody. Yay. Nobody would do that. Just like who comes into your home, right? If you have small children, you're not going to leave the door open, be like, yeah, everyone can come in. I love everybody. No, you're going to vet that person. Hopefully you would vet that person. Nah, what kind of life are you living? Who are you bringing around you? Whatever. How are you around kids? You're going to be vetting that person because you want to protect what's on the inside. You don't just let everybody and anybody in. And if someone comes in and violates, and there's no remorse and they want to do whatever they want to do, then guess what you do? You kick them out, right? But if you don't know what your standards are, if you don't know what your beliefs are, if you don't know what you stand for, if you don't know how you want to be treated, then you don't have boundaries at all. People are just going to come in and do whatever they want to do, and you're going to be hurt about it, but you're not going to know what to do about it. But if you know and take that time to understand how you want to be treated, you understand what your beliefs and your values are, your morals are. And if someone crosses that, you could just, and if you can't, and you say, hey, whoa, hold on, pause, time out. I got to stop you at the gate, right? Maybe you came in, but I'm pushing you back to the gate. I want to let you know you just violated, and this is how you're going to make it right. And the only correct answer is, cool, I'm going to make it right because I want to be in a relationship with you. If they don't, you put them right on outside that gate and you close it until they can get right. And so as a sovereign man, you're able to do that. And you're okay with that. And you don't have resentment towards the person, because if someone wants to act and be in however they want to be, right? There's some people that want to treat people any kind of way and talk any kind of way, and they want to be aggressive and they want to be, condescending and things like that. You have, as a human being, you have that right. If a woman wants to start talking crazy to you for whatever reason, trauma, whatever, right? And you guys are dating, she has a right to do that. She can do whatever she wants to do. She's just not going to do it in here. Not in these walls, not in these boundaries. They're not going to talk to me that you got to stay on the outside. I'm sorry. I'm pushing you to the third level. You can't even be in my presence. There can be no connection. And they may not like it. That's okay. They don't have to like it. You can do what you want to do over there. I'm just not allowing that treatment over here, right? If you want to go out and hurt people and act all crazy, cool, but it's just not going to be in my house. I'm going to tell you right now, you come in my house and hurt my wife or my children, and I'm going to let you know right now, you're not leaving my house. And I'm telling you right now,
you're not had this conversation, right? With my wife too.
Just saying, it has to be said. And I hope any man who loves his family would say
Yep.
the same thing. You're not leaving my
Yep.
house, right? You're not. Not the same way you came. I'll let you know that right now. There's a
Me
special,
and Andrew just
special
had
bad.
this conversation.
Yeah. So just saying, but that's the boundary, though, right? That's the boundary. There are consequences for when you cross the line, right? And if you're not willing to abide by the rules of my house, and in this case, I'm using an example of the house, but of me, if you're not willing to abide
Of
by
you
my
as a
rules
whole.
and my sense of how I want to be treated, because I'll tell you right now, Gordon, I've never seen someone set a boundary that's unreasonable. I've never seen it. Never.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
I haven't
That
seen it,
makes sense.
right? I want to be considered. I want to be talked to the right way.
Correct.
I want people putting their hands on me. I don't
Correct.
want people, it's just simple things like that. So if you can't abide by very simple rules of how I want to be treated, there's absolutely no way I can allow you in the inner part of me, right? So I got to put you on the outside, and that's what boundaries is all about. Again, I don't have to hate you, but if you're not willing to do that, just like anywhere else, Gordon, think about it on a job. Hey, if you don't want to abide by our rules, cool. That's not a problem. You just can't work here. That's all. If our policies, when you come to work, you got to wear a shirt and pants, and you want to come in your underwear, I'm not tripping off that. You want to walk in your underwear. I'm sure there are other jobs out there that will allow you to do that, but it's just not happening here. And I think once we understand boundaries in that way, it starts to make a little bit more sense, and it's a lot easier for us to start putting them in place and enforcing them, because that's the last part. You got to enforce your boundaries. Boundaries that aren't enforced are just suggestions, and you can't get mad if someone gives your suggestion, right?
I love that one. Boundaries without enforcement is just suggestions. That's I mean, guys, if you look at the slide right here, it's if you look at the two slides of the two people right here, right? I've been locked up for over 10 plus years in isolation. So you have a lot of time to think about certain things. If I had boundaries, or I've been taught boundaries, or I put limitations on myself with people and stuff, I wouldn't want to just go out and be everything and everybody to everybody else. All for what that one reason for the backslide. Acceptance, right? And it doesn't make a difference, because you could be in isolation and in walls, not even in prison, a prison of your own mind.
Yeah.
And that would be even worse, because now you have to learn it in a way that nobody has guidance. Now, if you're feeling overlooked and you're feeling a certain way where it's like, Gordon, how do you make boundaries for yourself? Like Doc said, you got to find out who you're with, what morals do you have, what values you have, and do you want to latch on to that type of values for that person that you want to set boundaries with for yourself? Because it will determine how you raise your kids, what happens to your family, and at the end of it all, the facade, the ego, the pride, the materialistic things, everything that comes out is all going to be all for nothing if you don't have the most important thing. Is going to be your values, your morals. What my other friend like to call it is your GPS for success, right? Because your GPS is what keeps you north. Like in my life, I went like all over the place, right? Back, forth, up and down, inside out, in third dimension, everything else you want to think of. But now that I'm here now, I can actually speak from experience what Doc is talking about from also a coaching side, and him from a therapy side. So if you're looking for these type of answers, comment the word. I'm thinking we're going to comment the word isolation, non-isolation, and a PDF should come out to you in your messenger. That's how slick we're getting, Doc.
Yeah. Got to get you guys the help you need.
Yes, sir. So that's how we try to do it.
Yeah.
All right, Doc, next slide.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to spend too much time here, because I think everyone understands, the idea of just not isolating, right? And the importance of making sure that we connect with other people. So let's move on to this one. As far as the neuroscience of emotional leadership, here's the thing, right? When it comes to emotional leadership, when it comes to emotional regulation, right? I don't think we as men understand, especially sovereign men, understand the actual power and influence we have in our relationships, right? It's really, 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 it's extremely powerful. like the presence of a man who knows himself. The presence
Yep.
of a man that knows himself. You've heard about it all the time. The dad will walk in the room, kids straighten up, right? A guy will be on the scene for a situation and he's able to handle things, right? Like these are things that I've experienced in my life, right? Being able to regulate myself, and then that allows my wife to kind of
Yep.
co-regulate, right?
Yep.
This is so critical, right? Is so critical. Like your influence. You might think like nobody cares and I have no influence and things of that nature,
Oh,
but
dude.
actually the fact of the matter is they crave
Yep.
your influence, right? And I'll share a couple of stories with you. I remember one time I was on when I was at work, right? I was at work. I was a social worker. I was school counselor, right? Crisis situation going on, working with a lot of different women, right? And they're trying to deal with this situation, right? And they're talking to the kid. I mean, they're being women, right? I'm not down on them or anything like that. They're being nurturing, they're being loving, they're trying to calm this situation down through how they operate as women. And of course,
Okay.
I can
Yeah.
appreciate that. I don't want women
Yeah.
trying to be like men, right? That's not what they're
Right. Right.
supposed
Right.
to do.
Right.
But I'm just trying to share like this is the power of the presence of men. So I come on the scene. And
Yes.
and of course, I'm under them, so I'm kind of letting them take the lead because of just the hierarchy of the
I
job.
was going to say, yeah.
But then when it wasn't working, I had to supersede that hierarchy and be like, okay, I'm here, and now I'm taking care of it. Like we're not doing this anymore. Told the kid, hey, this is the way it's gonna go. This is what it's gonna be, and we're not doing anything else until that, right? So the kid, if you, Dr. Keith, blah blah blah, whatever, right? No one cares about me, And so then, of course, in a woman's fashion, right? We do care about you. Don't say that. You know how much we love you and care about you. I'm like, no. Not time for that. Not time for that. He has a direction to follow. No one to say anything until he follows
Right.
that direction. We are not moving forward. And then guess
Mm.
what?
Yeah. Oh.
Kid got in line. He sat there for 5 minutes, and then guess what? I said, "Hey, do you want some water?" Here I said, "Here are your shoes back," because he was kicking. I said, "Here are your shoes back. Do you want some water?" He said, "Yes." All right, can we get him some water, please? Okay, cool. He gets the water, and guess what? Now he's regulated. Now we can have the conversation. Now we get him set up. Now we can send this man on home, right? That's the power of a man being able to
Yeah.
step
Yeah. We need
in.
that.
He
Yep.
knows himself, right? That's
Yep.
leadership. And again, it's not downplaying anybody. There are some situations where a woman might come in and that nurturing is probably necessary. But I'm talking about from the standpoint of us being men, we need to be able to step into that role, but we can't step into that role if we're not good with ourselves.
Right.
A man who is a performer or a people pleaser or a stoic, it's going to be very difficult for him to step into these situations in a way that really honors everybody involved, right? Because that's the key part. Because guess what? Guess what the performer would probably do, Gordon? The performer would probably go in there and try to manhandle the kid, right? I'm going to
Something
force
else.
you
Or
to do
try to,
what I
yeah.
want you to do, right? The people pleaser is probably going to move most like a female.
I was just about to say that.
Okay,
Too.
it's okay. You know,
Yeah.
the stoic is probably like, well, I don't care what happens to you, man. Yeah, bang your head against the wall. It don't make no difference to me.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to be protecting that child as well.
Right.
Everybody matters. And then you get mad when they try to step in. Oh, see, I'm trying to handle the situation and you're just stepping. That's because someone's going to get hurt. That's because, maybe it's at home. Maybe it's on the situation. Maybe it's at home and you acting like you don't care. Now your kid feels like you don't care. And now they don't want to connect you. So now your wife is stepping in and now you're getting mad because you think she's overstepping your boundaries. The problem is you're not stepping into your leadership role. That's the problem. So that when you're wearing those masks with a sovereign man who knows himself, I'm going to step in this situation. I'm going to command respect. I'm going to take control. I'm going to honor everybody in this circle as I do this. So then as I go in, I don't just regulate everything, but everyone else is better for it. Everyone else is heard. Your wife is heard. Your coworkers are heard. Your employees, your students, the kids, everyone is valued. And when they leave that situation, guess what? Everyone feels good about themselves. Everyone feels good about themselves. So it's so critical for us to be able to make sure we regulate ourselves, and so that when we step into these situations, that everyone else is like, okay, Keith's here. Gordon's here, right? Okay, let's just, okay, it's under control. We got it, right? Other people might be panicking, but when they see you calm, cool, and collected, okay, this is how we're going to handle this thing, right? Then guess what? Man, it just feels good to have that anchor point. It feels good to have that. And we as men, we as sovereign men have to be that anchor point, and we have to have that leadership. Again, so this is the neuroscience of emotional leadership, that everyone else is going to regulate based off of you. That whole lie about, or, dad's unhappy, nobody cares. But if mom's unhappy, then everybody, has a problem. Like that. That's not it at all. Believe it or not, whether, men, we control the culture of our relationships. You control the culture of your home, not your wife. You do. And if your wife does, then there's an extreme problem. There's a big problem.
Then you butt heads and everything else. I mean, she can say her voice and stuff like that. Then you can come together. But at the end of the day, you're supposed to.
Well, Gordon, I'm not even talking about that. I'm not talking about her not having a voice. I'm talking about like she's wearing the pants in the family. Like she's determining how things go in the house. She's determining, her when she's off, everyone else. It's like no. The man's got to be the stable point in that relationship, right? So when she's off, he's still on, right? Because women already have a hard enough with their estrogen and the emotions and things like that. So it's hard for a woman to be stable at all times, right? It's hard. It legitimately is. And this isn't a dig at them. This is biology. So to ask someone who's already trying their best to stay stable when their hormones are all over the place and their cycle and stuff like that, because you don't want to step up and do your role as a man. So now you want to put your role on top of her. That's not the way it's supposed to be. That's not the way a sovereign man operates. A sovereign man is a steady point in his family, on the job, wherever in his community. He's a steady point that someone could look to. And it's like, okay, everything is going to be good. And there's a relaxation and like it says here, the co-regulation effect. There's a relaxation that comes because it's like, okay, they're here. Okay, everything is going to be good. Everything is going to be good, right?
No, I mean, you got to have presence for all of that. You got to have that type of presence in anything that you do. So let me ask you guys, men out there watching this, women out there, wouldn't you like to have a man to have presence to take control of the situation where you can relax and you don't have to do it all? Wouldn't you want to have a man in a room that has been through the war, been in everything, can take control of it, and just say, oh, I can relax and sit back? You know, because if you're a man and you don't have these attributes, right? This is where we want to get you to. Imagine going into a room and you command it. Imagine going to your boss and saying, hey, I want to have a word with you, this and that, and have the balls to do it and have a conversation instead of, I'm going to just take his crap. You know what I mean? You want to be able to have lunch with your director and lay it out, and then we'll see how that moves on to voice your opinion and have the cojones, the commanding of yourself to be sovereign, to have that initiative. That's what we want for you guys. Because if you're feeling overlooked, undervalued, overwhelmed, unpurposeful, looking for where you're going to be going in the corner, like you said, and let your wife run over you, or you not even have good communication where she's not part of it and you're just simping, we want to get you to a different level. Right? Yeah. We want to get to a different level, and it doesn't take much, guys. It really doesn't take much. Yeah. It just takes for you to take some sort of little action, have a little consistency, have a little small things that you can do for yourself to get to small things that where you want to be. Because at the end of it all, we want you to sleep at night knowing that, like Doc said, we just had this conversation. I said, if anything happened to my kids, her, this, I said, I know what happens at the end of it. I already lived it. So I can go fingerprint myself. I know how to do it. That's all. I know what's going to happen, right? It's not like there's an unknown. Like I know how to roll my fingers and all this stuff from experience because of all my arrests, right? Yeah. But at the same time, that's what people gravitate to: presence, control, emotional security, controlling of the situation. And guess what? The vibes you put off is what we want you to have. We want you guys to have this. Because you deserve that much and then some. Yeah. Much.
Yeah.
I'll do the Terry Crews thing again. right. Now here we go with the
All
relational
right.
repair protocol. If you're in this situation, this is
Okay.
a perfect slide
So
for this, Doc, because this is
in
from Doc's words.
my words, but the Gottman's research, right? I just want to make
Yes,
sure I put
sir.
that out there.
Yes, sir.
This is, I think this is so important, guys. Because I was working with a couple, and I was working with a guy, and one of the things he's doing incredible work. Like, I mean, he's really, really, really doing phenomenal work, right? But he brought up a very good point. He said, I cannot maintain this level of effort of trying to be like perfect all the time and never make mistakes, right? I can't hold back the things that I need to say, my thoughts, my feelings, my opinions, my perspective. I can't do that. Like, I have to be able to live. I have to be able to breathe. I have to be able to exist, and I'm going to make mistakes. And I told him, I said, you're 100% correct, man. And this is where the relational repair protocol comes into play. See, because we're not going to get it right every single time. Sometimes
Yes.
you might be short with your wife. Sometimes you might be short with your kids. Sometimes you may say the wrong thing to somebody. It's going to happen. We're not perfect. Like I said earlier, men aren't looking for, oh, that guy's perfect. He never makes mistakes. We don't want that. We don't
Yeah.
want that, right? What we want is someone who's real, who's gone through it and knows how to deal with it. Not someone who's never gone through it and I'm perfect and I can teach you how to be perfect. That's not what we're looking for. We can't connect with someone like that. Right. So we're looking for someone like, okay, yeah, I'm not perfect. And when I make mistakes, this is how I operate. This is what I do. Right. And again, the relational repair protocol. This is what happens. The first thing you got to do, you got to own your impact. Right. Don't move to defend yourself.
On your
Again, this is
impact.
why I love that slide before about the emotional regulations you got to have, right? The emotional leadership. A leader takes responsibility for his actions. A leader does not say, oh, but you,
Absolutely.
but you said, oh, well, but if you didn't, that's not what a leader does. A leader says, that's the impact that had on you. That wasn't, and then it goes on to the next step, right? You validate that experience.
Yep.
Man, I honestly, I didn't even know that I had that. I'm sorry that happened to you. I can understand why you'd be hurt by that, hurt by those words, hurt by my inaction. Don't start making excuses. Well, this is why I did it, or no. Own the impact. Yeah, no, you're right. I did do that. I did do that. And I can understand. The second step is I can understand why that would make you feel that way. I can understand why you would look at this situation that way. That it makes sense. Makes sense as to why you view it that way, right? If you need clarity, ask more questions.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if you can just help me out, what part? Not why questions, because why is too vague. What, where, when, how. They'll give you the same information, but it'll be much more clear and much more direct, and you could actually do something with it. So if you need clarity, ask questions. If something's not making sense to you, they share their experience, and you say, hey, I want to own my impact, but I really just want to understand where you're coming from so I can fully grasp it, so I can really learn and understand you, right? Right. And then, make sure you apologize as well. And I will say that, right? The first thing you should do is own your impact and apologize. That's what you want to do. Hey, you know what? Hey, I can see that I impacted you. Listen, that was not my intent. I do apologize. I'm sorry. Then you validate the experience. And if you need more clarification, right, then you ask for it. And then if they want a strategy, right, this is important. Is there anything I can do different next time?
Better. Yep. Yep.
How can I show up for you in a different way next time? What can I do next time? Because I don't want you to experience this again, right? And then once you do that, then you follow through on whatever it is you were doing, right? So you've apologized, you've owned it, you heard them, you validated their experience. And then guess what you do? You preserve the relationship. That's what happens. They know that they know that you care. And here's also the other thing where here, I think it's important. It's not written here, but I need you to understand that conflict in a relationship is going to happen, and conflict is not a bad thing.
It's not.
If you only view conflict as, oh, it's an argument, that's not
It's
conflict.
not.
The definition of conflict is when things are not aligning, right? We don't see things the same way, right? That's it. Conflict of interest. There's two different interests, right? They're not aligning, right? So here's the thing: in order in a relationship for us to learn more about one another, there has to be conflict. There has to be something that happens that maybe I didn't know or I wasn't aware of. That's why I learn more about. That's what we learn more about one another. So don't be scared of conflict, We have tools to help you navigate and manage that and how to have conversation like this one right here, right? We have
This,
tools for that,
yeah,
right? And so don't be scared of it. This is an opportunity for you guys to learn, to grow, to be there for your significant other, right? And not just significant other, but other people too, friends, family, co-workers, subordinates, bosses, whatever. If you are not operating for whatever reason as a sovereign man, like you slip and you fall, you make a mistake, whatever, this is how you get back on track. This is how you
mhm,
show your values and your morals
authenticity.
and
Yep.
your care for other people. This is how you do that. So that's why it's so important to get this in. And like Doctors John and Julie Gottman said, the relationship longevity is determined by repair attempts. Essentially, a repair attempt is simply saying, I see you, I care about what I did to you, and I really want to make it right. That's what a
Yeah.
repair attempt is. And if you care about these people in your life at all, if you love them at all, this is what you're gonna want to be able to do. You're gonna want to be able to see, okay, I see my impact. I'm apologizing for it. I'm seeking to understand and validate and empathize with you, and then I'm asking for clarity if I need it, offering suggestions on how I can do it better so this doesn't happen again if necessary. And then I follow through on whatever it is we've discussed or talked about and be more mindful, whatever the case may be. So this is the importance of the relational repair protocol and why
Mhm.
we need sure we learn it and have it so that we can actually start, making sure our relationships are healthy and strong.
I mean, this slide alone can sum up a lot of your problems going on with any type of another person that you're talking to. You could be going through this, accepting responsibility and doing things and moving forward with the number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5 to follow through is going to help you get over your conflict, because like Doc said, conflict is not bad thing. It creates a better understanding for you yourself, both how you situate yourself and how you can handle it in the future,
Yeah.
because you grow through conflict. If you're not growing through conflict, we have a deeper problem going on, because
Mhm.
now you being that performer, you being that stoic, you being basically that butthole that want to
Mhm.
be something else for nothing, and you don't care about nobody else. And I know people like this, right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, where are they? They're blaming
Well,
everybody else. They're doing
mhm.
something else. They're saying, "Oh, because of this, oh, it's all about luck. You guys are lucky." No, we put in the work to everything that we have going on
Yeah.
because of the lessons we learn from conflict about ourselves and for other people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's so true, because I'll tell you from experience, the hardest part is actually taking that in consideration. Other people's have opinions and perspectives, right?
Yeah.
And that's one thing prison taught me. You're in a fish tank with cultures, religions, gang affiliation, different perspective, different cultures, different upbringings, different stuff. And if you don't get along, you get got, right? All
Yeah.
because why? You couldn't accept somebody's perspective that you never
Mm.
lived through. And
Yeah.
I can see, and this is why we learn about religions. We learn about other religions. We learn about other people's cultures. We learn about different type of things that, you know what I mean? And if you're the butthole that's coming in, I knew guys like this, like, oh, these guys ain't nothing. I mean, on our talk tough, guess what happens to them? Psst, off the yard. In fact, they're lucky to get off the yard, because if not, they got.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
happens that fast.
Yeah. You know.
All right. Let's take off
All
that
right.
governor.
All right.
We're moving
So
on.
we're wrapping it up here, guys. And
Yes,
so
sir.
essentially, we were born to lead, right?
Yes.
That's just a fact, right? And Gordon, you mentioned earlier when you were talking about the women, right? I don't care who the woman is. I don't care if she's right wing, left wing, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
All women want security. If you're a feminist,
Yes.
you want security. If you're a trad white, you want security.
Yes.
It doesn't, it's the same thing. If
Yep.
you're a type A, you want security. I have not met a woman yet, not one, that doesn't crave security.
They
It's like
want
built
something,
into their system,
some
right?
version.
It's built into their system, man.
Yeah.
So, a lot of guys are like working like, oh man, I can't get women, da 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 da. Right. Well, if you step into being a sovereign man, if you command your life, if you move with
Mhm.
confidence, if you know how to build relationships, if you know how to care about people, you know how to command a room, right? And
Yep.
then and listen, let me also explain this to you as well. Commanding the room isn't getting in there and being all loud and boisterous and
Wow. Don't.
wah,
Yep.
wah, wah. No, that's not commanding a room. Commanding a room is I can walk in anywhere and be my full authentic self. That is how you
Yep.
command a room. That is how you do it. And women see that. It's like, oh, dang. Oh, shoot. Look at
Yep.
him. You know? And it does something for them. It does something for them because they see, whether they know it or not, they're seeing security. Oh, man, he's securing himself. They're not thinking this. They're like, all they're thinking is like, oh, man, that guy's attractive. That's all they're thinking, right?
Yeah.
But deep down, their brain's like, ooh, security. Ah, look at that. That's what that looks like. We want that. Right. And then that's why a lot of guys, you know, the things that usually pop out of security is what? Usually height, you know, power, position, money, things like that, right?
Right.
Like those are the things that they look like security on the outside on a very superficial level, right? Or you see the bad boy, it looks like security. So their brain is looking at like as security, but we all know that's not real security, right? All that stuff is nice, right? Like, you know, if a woman can get someone that's tall or makes a lot of money, whatever, that's nice. That's just not all of it. So long story short, though, is what we're saying is you got to take the governor off. And I think another analogy to use is disconnect yourself from those freight trains that you're trying to pull, right? All those expectations that no one asks you to take on. All that fear, all that isolation, all the mask, all the hurt and the trauma you experience. It's time for you to disconnect yourself from them so you could actually fly like you're designed to. You're carrying, gentlemen, you're carrying a lot of weight you were not designed to carry. You were not designed to carry. As we described that engine in the beginning, right? I need you to explain the V12, twin turbo, all that, right? You know, engines like that are not designed to pull freight trains. They're not designed to pull tractors and tractor trailers and things like that. They're not designed for that. They're designed to fly free and go as fast as they possibly can. Gentlemen, we are not designed to be burdened down by all the societal, you know, weight that's been placed on us that's false, that keeps us in the roles of either a performer or a people pleaser, nice guy, or a stoic. We weren't designed to be like that. We were designed to be sovereign and command wherever we are. You know, that's what we were designed to do. So we need to make sure we're taking all those things off. And that's what we can help you do. That's what we're here for. That's why we come week after week. That's why Gordon spends all this time. And please, someone put a shout out for Gordon, you know, in the comments, because he's the one that had set this whole infrastructure up. I just want to give this man credit where credit's due. He's the one that set this infrastructure up. He does so many things behind the scenes that you guys wouldn't even be aware of. And I promise if it was just me, it would be a very plain, blank video. That's it. There wouldn't be all these extra resources. So, you know, please, if you were watching this, even on the replay, put it in the comments like, hey, thank you, Gordon, for all you do. Right. So
it's just the beginning.
But I just want to let you guys know that, you know, take the governor off, release those weights. Start being the man that you were designed to be. Start being sovereign, right? Because that's how you were designed to be. And I'm telling you what, it's so much better on this side. It's so much better. The air you breathe, it's fresher. You get a full breath. You could actually start living your life. You could actually start to matter.
Terms.
Oh, man, on your terms.
On your terms.
So take the governor off, release the weight, become the sovereign man you're designed to be.
I just watched a clip the other day. Like, right, God, the car manufacturers and God didn't put two steering wheels in the car, right? Right? They didn't put the man. Your wife, your partner is supposed to navigate, help you. Do you need some water? Do we need to keep you awake? They're supposed to be the partner to you driving the car in life, right?
Yeah.
The car manufacturers. Can you imagine your wife and you driving a car? You got two brake pedals, two gas pedals, two navigations. What would happen in your life, right? God didn't do it that way. He made you to be the sovereign man, but somehow, some way, you might have been distracted. You might have been misinformed. Your situation might be different. You were misguided. The support you didn't get. That's why we're here to give it to you. We want you to be able to walk in a room, command everything. We want you to apply for that job. We want you to, with respect of yourself, commanding that, to have the presence. We want you to be in that dating game where women get attracted to you because of who you are and not the facade and not the three performers, the stoic or the sentimentality that people have in your situation. We want you to drive your family to the point where you can have your business, you can have your family, you can have your purpose, you can have your morals, you can have your faith, all under one roof, and you have control of it. For some of you men out there watching this, how much would you actually want to invest in yourself, not just monetarily, to have those things and you have it all with a smiling face? Like Doc said, when it's like being in a prison, you breathing the same air in the walls. When you get released, for some reason, that air tastes better, feels
Mhm.
better, feels lighter. And I
Mhm.
know that feeling all too well, right?
Yes.
Because it's the same thing, only thing on a more deeper, intimate level. And this is what the brotherhood is for all about. This
Yeah.
is why it's setting your boundaries, setting that direction, setting that confidence level. And this is what pillar number 5 is all. Not just a relationship with other people, it's a relationship with yourself to drive you to have these attributes that you want to have for yourself. And
Yes.
this is a gift we want to give you because
Yeah.
at the end of it all, if you cannot control yourself, what are you setting an example for? Your children, your boys, your kids,
Mhm.
the people you come in contact with, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Got last slide. Boop, boop.
Yeah.
That's going to
So
be our thing. Oh, and they
so
got my name spelled wrong. I tried to correct it, but I was like, let's run with it anyway. Doesn't matter.
so so, guys, so ultimately, kind of like Gordon was saying, just want to piggyback off that. How much would it be worth to you, right? Because I'll even say this, whether you're a Christian or not, but it's this the premise still matters.
Yes.
Jesus said, "What does it profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? What does it profit a man?
Ooh.
What does it profit you to be a multimillionaire and alone? What does it profit to you, to be successful and yet have your kids hate you, can't stand the sight of you? What
Yep.
is it? What is it, profit you to have people not even want to be around you? Right? What does it profit you to be isolated? What does it profit for you to keep these masks on? Like, what's the true profit of that on the other side? Because both you and I know, because I've been there, that when
Right.
everybody is gone, when the glitzing glam is gone and the cameras are off and no one is there, and you look at yourself and you hit those points and you say, I don't like myself. I hate myself. Why am I even here? Right? You
Why?
know you have
Yep.
those thoughts. I don't
Yep.
feel
Why?
loved. How come nobody
Yep.
cares about me? You have those thoughts. You're thinking those things. They go through and you shove them down, or you drink them down, or you smoke them away, or you try to
Mhm.
sleep around. You try to do everything in your power to silence that voice in your head. And it doesn't matter how much money you get, doesn't matter how much what your position is, and none of that stuff matters. Heck, some of you guys have the baddest females on your arm. Guys that will look at you and your wife, be like, golly, and you still aren't happy, still feel alone, still feel you can't step up and be the man you want to be, still can't connect. So when Gordon asked you that question, like that investment, right? How much do you want to invest in having a life where not only can you have all the stuff, right? But you could also enjoy it because you can actually step
Enjoy.
into sovereignty. You can actually be the man that you want to be. It's not a myth. It's not some legendary thing far off that doesn't exist anymore. No, you could do it, and we can help you get there. We can help you get there. Right. That's why we show up every week and we do these things and we create these resources and we create these workshops and things of that nature to help you be able to actually live the life that you were designed to live with no governor, no weight. So you could be the man that your wife needs you to be. You could be the man that your kids need you to be. Your employees need you to be. Your
Yep.
community needs you to be. Your church, whoever. And even most importantly, who you need you to be. right? We help you get there. Right.
I mean, you can't even. Here's what we're offering, guys. We have one-on-one coaching. We have group coaching. We have courses coming out. We have workshops. You've seen us do this for quite some time now. You can go to our Facebook page. You can see the ads. You'll get daily motivational quote cards pumped out through Instagram, Facebook, YouTube Shorts. You have communities that we've built already. We have everything that you want to be, so you can release all your energy and move from where you are now as a person, maybe fighting within yourself, to becoming that sovereign man, to becoming that 11th man, to becoming the person, like Doc said, to unhitch that trailer with all the weight and baggage you've been carrying on from all this past trauma, to
Yeah.
become the person you need to be for yourself and the people you come in contact with. Me, how do I know this, guys? Because I was once just like you, right?
Mhm.
Doc was just once like you. And this is why we have the experience from both sides that can
Yeah.
get you to where you need to be, from clinical standpoint, from experience standpoint, from a person that dug himself out of the gutter, to being a crash test dummy, to giving you the proper, say, direction, experiences, tools, apps, application, execution orders to become the best version of yourself from here on going on.
Yeah.
When you are ready, reach out to us. You can take assessment at boundariesandbrotherhood.com. You can go to boundariesandbrotherhood.com and look at the team, right? We have females, we have guests, we have other therapists, we have other guys like me that have been in prison, that's changed and now have their own doctrines and are therapists themselves, right? The offers are endless. It's just a matter of when you want to come in. We do offer so many different things that let's customize it for you. We just want to help you to get to a better place than you were just yesterday.
Yeah.
And if that takes a little bit out of you, that might be just in itself worth it to even just give us the time of day. Because even if you give us the time of day, you might be able to figure out a better way that you can find out that there's more to life than what you have in your system right now. You can go to here. If you was to look at this, look, if you was to look at our Facebook page right now, right? Here, every day these are coming out through carousels. Guess you put just to keep you motivated for the time of the day. Look at this. The three pillars of personal growth.
That's
Keeping
really
the
cool.
peace is costing you everything. Nobody taught you how to be a man. All of these have things in blog posts for you to guide you. Most men saying yes when you know is killing you, right? No
Yeah.
one told you how hard it is to be a man. Boundaries, your brother, to figure this out. The cycle of confidence. These are pumped out daily in Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We
Hmm.
want you to have these so you can have things in your arsenal, right? You ready to break free, guys? This is what we're all about. And this is where, if you're watching this on TikTok, Instagram, and everything else, we want this for you. Guys, this is daily. I do this daily so you don't do something wrong like I did and spend the rest of your time doing bullshit shit.
I mean, Gordon, I want to wrap up with this as well, man.
Yes, sir.
And just saying, like, the fact of the matter is, you're gonna pay somewhere,
And
right?
somehow, somewhere.
The what you're going through is costing you already, and will
Yep.
continue to cost you, right?
Yes.
It's costing you money right now. Maybe you're buying alcohol to again drink the pain away or to party
Yep.
away, right? You know, or maybe it's weed, or maybe it's you're trying to buy expensive things, and it's already going to cost you. I mean, it's costing you your peace, it's
Yep.
costing you yourself, it's costing you
Yep.
your authenticity.
Yep.
Some of you have sacrificed so much of yourself, you don't even know who you are anymore. You don't even know what you like anymore. You enjoy. So you're already paying. So you just have to ask yourself the question: is the price that I'm paying right now to suffer? So you're not even living good, you're suffering. Is that price? Was it worth it? Is it worth it? Or maybe, just maybe, I actually can start working with someone to actually, get the change I'm looking for. So I can actually start being
Right.
happy. I can actually start living life. I can breathe easier. I don't have to sit in my car for 30 minutes before I go inside. Why? Because my wife, when I go inside, because I work with Gordon and Keith, you know, now when I go inside, it's not a burden, it's a blessing. Because I'm getting a hug,
Ooh,
kiss, and she's happy to see me, and my kids are happy to see me, right? It's not just let's get to work. It's a love, it's connection.
connection.
That's what we're talking about now. Like, so ask yourself the question: how much is that worth to you, right? And if you say, you know what, I'll go without it. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm a
That's
man.
you. Yeah.
Stoic mask.
Yep.
Stoic
Yep.
mask. All
Yep.
right, cool. Right. But you know good and well, when your wife leaves you, don't act surprised. When she takes half your stuff, don't act surprised.
Go
When your
get
kids
paid.
want to deal with you, don't act surprised. Don't be like, oh, what happened? No, keep that stoic mask on. Keep it on. Yeah, no, it's gonna be all right. No, keep that same mask on.
Please
Right?
do.
Yeah.
And come see
You
us
know, be
after.
a people pleaser, you know,
Yeah.
or be the performer, hey, whatever. She can go, I'm gonna go. What I mean, you can, but you know you're still hurt. You know you're still sad. You know you're still down. You know you're still out. You know you're still struggling. You can hide it all you want, but you know, at the end of the day, 11 o'clock at night, when you're sitting there by yourself in your bed, you know what thoughts are plaguing your mind that you're fighting incessantly. And what we're telling you is we can quiet those thoughts. We can help you have the relationships you want. We can help you get to where you want. There's a lot of you that are stuck at the level you're at right now. Talking about business and finance, you're stuck right now because of how you think. Some of you are so freaking incredible at what you do, but because
Yep.
you wear the people pleaser mask, you
Yep.
cannot get
Yep.
out of your
Yep.
own way. You
Yep.
keep sabotaging
Ooh.
yourself. So we're talking about taking all that off, and the performer has burning out. We're talking about how you could actually continue to go and work and operate, not for validation, but because I just want to see the world be a better place. I want to provide for my family. I want to do X, Y. I want to see my company grow. We're talking about helping you remove these masks so you can have the life, the success, the relationships that you want, that you think are impossible. When you come across a positive post, you think it's impossible. We're telling you right now, it is possible. And we can help you
Highly
get there.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week.
All right.
Comment.
Guys, take care.
Comment. Let's see. We're gonna take. You can comment the word confidence to get last month's workshop. You can comment the word mask. I'm gonna put that down. Mask to get this PDF. That's the
Yes.
slides in case you want to. And if you want to reach out, let us know, guys. We're here for you guys. All right,
Yeah.
guys. This is Gordon Moore from Bounders and Brothers. We'll catch you next week.
Y'all take care. Dr. Keith Fairclough. Y'all